Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, it takes time. Now live.
It's live. So yes, perfect. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, and welcome to the next Ocean Plastic webinar. There's been a bit of a break for the summer, so welcome back. And this time we have something slightly different for you because we are a group of researchers that are going to present today. And I'm going to kind of be in between moderating and presenting at the same time. And what we're doing is going to present the development of a project called See Clearly. You'll see the logo on this side. and so all the group members that could join live are here. And then everyone who couldn't join has sent through a video, so you can also see their faces. So just to start off, we're going to do a quick round of introductions, and then just show all the slides that we have ready for you today, and then go through the classic Q&A. So if you want to just be ready for the Q&A, you can already go to Slido, so that's sli.do. And the hashtag is OPW for Ocean Plastic Webinars. All right, so let's go through a quick round of introductions. So Claudio, do you want to start it off?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm Claudio Pierart. I'm a PhD student at Utrecht University, and I'm doing my PhD on the transport of nanoplastics in the ocean.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Claire, you're next on my screen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Claire Jongendijk. I am currently finishing my PhD at Imperial College in London, where I make computer models of the transport of ocean plastics near the coast, so in waves and on beaches.
Perfect. Thank you. And Darshika.
Hello, everyone. I'm a PhD student at Utrecht University, and I look at how plankton species connect in the Atlantic Ocean.
Thank you very much. And Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Gomez Navarro, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Utrecht University working on tracking floating material with satellite data.
Great. And most of you already know me. I am Delphine de Bel. I'm also a postdoc at Utrecht University. And I've been working on biofouling and other processes that can affect the vertical transport of plastic in the ocean, also modeling. So you'll see that a big majority of us are from Utrecht University. And what we are presenting today is the result of a hackathon that happens in February. So this is from the Blue Cloud. They organized it. And now I'm going to share the screen, and you will be able to see a little bit more about the details of the hackathon, the team, and our developments. Okay, so to kick it off, here you see all the names, and yeah, obviously you've seen that Cleo, myself, Darshika, Laura, and Claudia are here, and just so that you see the rest of the team, Claire, would you like to just give a quick overview of the others?
Yeah. So I think you've seen probably the team members from the Central European time zone. And we've got some team members all over the world. I think the most opposite time zone is Omo from Florida in the US. And we are a group of early career ocean professionals of varying stages in our academic careers. And we all joined, well, we are basically a group of scientists, and most of us are designing and developing computer models for tracking all kinds of, as you just heard already, for tracking all kinds of stuff in the ocean. So whether that be plastic or biomaterials, or some people in our wider group even track fish or other large stuff, small stuff. And we really enjoyed kind of grouping together where we could focus on a more impact-based, short-based assessment. So yeah, maybe you can go to the next.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess now, if you can just give our viewers a bit of a background on, the goal behind See Clearly and how it was born through the Blue Cloud Hackathon, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Delphine. I just shortly mentioned that we got together to do like a short-based impact-focused assessment. And so we are all used to working with tracking plastics in the ocean and stuff in the ocean. And the Blue Cloud Hackathon came upon us, and we kind of thought it would be really cool to shortly come together with multiple people from multiple groups all over the world to focus more on the solutions, to focus more on what would be really useful for end users, which is something that in science doesn't happen so often because you always focus on improving and being on the cutting edge. So this was a really nice change of scenery for us. So the Blue Cloud Hackathon, I'll shortly tell you a little bit about it, was basically, so if you can click once more, you'll see so the Blue Cloud Hackathon basically consisted of, it was quite a cool concept because it was still virtually. And even though in that time, some countries could be working live and some countries could still be working virtual, but this whole event was virtually, which allowed us to work across time zones and with a really diverse team. And there were 3 weeks of preparation, which was quite cool because we could like really prepare the data and discuss concepts and brainstorm and do that at different times of the day over the week. So it really fitted in everybody's work schedules. And then also one thing was that the whole hackathon was really based around solutions to address the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN goals. And I think that really created a lot of motivation in our group. And there were a couple of themed sessions. There was also just one completely free category, but we chose the Feeding the World, quite a grand session as our focus session. And then just before the actual hackathon, which was 2 days of really intense creating the tool, we already could be prepared with having some concepts and really started working it out. So then on those 2 days, we just completely cleared our schedules and we all got together. And we basically developed an environmental impact assessment tool, as you can see in the top, where we determine locations for the lowest probability of 2 things. And they sound quite similar, but they are quite different. So the first one is the plastic pollution reaching aquaculture cages. So you can think about marine plastics that's already in the environment from sources outside of the aquaculture cages that reach by currents and by waves. You'll hear more about it, but reach the cages. Or plastic pollution that's actually created by the aquaculture farming that reach surrounding marine protected areas or other surrounding environments. But that's the main concept that we developed during those 2 days. And then after those 2 days, we did a lot more development, which you will hear on further in the webinar.
Great, thanks so much, Claire. And we had to create these different deliverables. There was this one-page summary of our idea, so kind of what you've just described in words, but written down. And then we also had to create a video. And so we have just added that into these slides so that you can see one of our deliverables. And so I'm just going to play that for you right now.
Are you an aquaculture manager looking for a pollution-free location for your next farm? Or a decision maker assessing if aquaculture farms can pollute marine protected areas? Or are you simply looking for clean and safe fish to eat? Then See Clearly is a tool that can answer all of your questions. The particle trackers used the Blue Cloud to develop simulations and a web-based visualization to track pollutants in the ocean. You simply open the web page, click on the location of an aquaculture farm from the Blue Cloud database, and trajectories of harmful pollutants appear, which have traveled to or from this farm. So how did we produce these simulations? In a Jupyter notebook on the Blue Cloud, we combined an open access Lagrangian framework called ocean parcels with ocean currents from seamounts and released virtual particles of one pollutant, microplastic, from one origin, the coasts or the aquaculture farms. With an extra €25,000, we will integrate other Blue Cloud data, including all pollutants and aquaculture farms, marine protected areas, and even winds and waves to simulate storms. with our probability analysis, we will generate a public, fair, compliant contamination risk map of the Mediterranean to share with stakeholders and educate the general public. Everyone has the same goal when it comes to aquaculture farming. Producers, consumers, and decision makers want to ensure safe, clean, marine-based foods. Let Sea Clearly provide you the pollutant tracking you need.
Okay, well, that was a quick overview of what we did, and we were really pleased to see that the judges of this competition liked our idea. And this led to us actually winning the hackathon in February. And so this was a really exciting part of our, I guess, early career trajectory, because we could see, okay, well, what if we use our knowledge and really apply it to something, and we won this 25,000 euro from the Blue Cloud that was provided by the EU Horizon 2020 funding that they received for this, for the Blue Cloud. And so we actually were able to develop our idea further for another 6 months beyond the hackathon. And so these are just some clips of the actual prize giving ceremony. And so that was all really exciting. So I think now, Laura, I'd like to give you the floor. And if you can explain to the viewers exactly what kind of stakeholders or end users could be interested in this project. And, if it's something that, could be developed further, who would be the people that are interested in our tool?
Yeah. So yes, thanks also to the prize, we could develop this project further. And first we had to identify the stakeholders, right, of this project. And these are the aquaculture farmers, for example, but specifically the project managers, which decide where to place the cages. And also we have decision makers, right, because they're the ones in charge of marine spatial planning. And also accreditation bodies. So this could be like local or regional governments who would give the okay and green light to the aquaculture managers when they want to place a new cage. And lastly, we would have the general public, especially those who are interested in whether their food could be contaminated by plastics, or also of the environmental impact that the food they are consuming is having. So this is for the three main groups of stakeholders. And how did we actually engage with them? So also thanks to this funding from the Blue Cloud, we could participate in some events. And one of these was an EU mission event that took place in Marseille last June. And it was based on this European project called Restore Our Oceans and Waters by 2030. And as you can see on the right, our team members also had the chance to participate and give a small speech. And it was a great opportunity to do some interviews and engage with stakeholders.
Great, thanks for that overview of the interested end users of our tool. And could you expand a little bit now on the actual interview process, who we interviewed in Marseille, and how we engaged then with the stakeholders?
Yes, so we could carry out two main interviews to very interesting stakeholders. One of them was Aqualog, that is actually an aquaculture consultancy, and the other one was an aquaculture farm called Cachalot. Both of these, they're located in the Rad of Toulon, which you can see here in the small map. Toulon is based in the southeast of France. And yeah, with our discussions with Aqualog, it was very interesting to get like this point of view of how they help aquaculture farmers, for example, get the environmental impact assessments that they need for example, asking new permissions for new farm locations. And yeah, they gave us very interesting insights on how to continue our project. For example, they let us know that at least in France, there's no legislation right now on the plastics in the aquaculture species, and that that it would be a very interesting tool for them. So that gave us like a nice motivation to take further the project. And then in the middle picture, you can see our discussions with the aquaculture manager from Cachalot. And it was also very insightful to know which tools they use, which tools they not use, and also to hear about more artisanal type of aquaculture farming and how they're also adapting to the new times, let's say. So with these interviews that we did as a group, although some members are missing here, we could get some information and get a glance of what was important to focus on for the next steps.
Great, thanks so much. And yeah, I think now we've kind of given a good overview of kind of the idea and the different stakeholders that are interested in our tool. And now we can go into a bit more of the technical details and how we actually managed to get to this tool and the data that we used and everything. So Claudio, I'm going to give you the stage now and ask you to go through a little bit of the technical details of the Blue Cloud platform, how we used it, and some of the data that we used.
Sure. Yeah, so here's an overview of all the landscape of the tools and data that we use for this project, right? So for instance, the main star, I guess, is the Blue Cloud platform, which is an online platform that basically provides computer power to run analysis related to ocean or environmental ocean things or projects, right? This tool also allows you to access the data that relates to anything on the ocean, right? Also, we use, for the data, we use the Copernicus Marine Services data, specifically for the advective fields to do our virtual particle simulations. Then we use also the EMODnet data, which provided like the locations of the aquaculture cages and the marine protected area locations in the Mediterranean that we use for this project. Then we also used an open access Lagrangian particle tool called Ocean Parcels. So this is actually the thing with which we run the simulations of virtual particles, as already said, in the Mediterranean. And finally, we also use the particle viz, which is an open source particle tool for visualizing all these simulations of how particles are transported in the ocean. Yeah, so this is like a quick overview and of all the tools that we use in this project.
Nice. And now we're going to go into a little bit of detail about each of these different steps. And for example, first we'll look into the Blue Cloud platform, and Darshika will give an overview of that. And then we'll look at kind of the EMODnet and the Copernicus Marine Services that we used. So Darshika, let's head over to you, and you can give us an overview of the data availability and the capabilities of the Blue Cloud.
Sure. So with the Blue Cloud account, we were able to have a multi-purpose web-based platform, where we could put our files, have our data stored on the internet, on the web cloud, and also run simulations. So here in the red block in the corner, you can see all the different tabs that you can use to access different platforms. In this video, or in this demonstration, I'll demonstrate how we access the data on Blue Cloud service that they have provided.
Should I press play?
Blue Cloud, yeah. So Blue Cloud provides this data discovery and access service, which leads you to a different page, but you can search for a keyword, or you could give your own areas to search from, and you can look at different results from different data sets like EMODnet and stuff. And when you go into the details, you can see for which places you have the data, what is the type of data that they have available. And once you're happy with that, you can go to the level 2 search and also order this data set to your email via data basket. So it's quite convenient.
Yeah, super easy to use. Very nice. And can you also go through some of the other data sets that maybe weren't available on the Blue Cloud, but I know that they're in constant development, so they're always keen to add more data to their platform. But some of the other data sets that we used.
Sure. So we can go back to the aim that what we wanted to do with this project was to find out how aquaculture, like how the pollutants might arrive at the aquaculture farms, or how the pollutants from the aquaculture farms could go to marine protected areas. So we extracted this data of locations, farm locations. For example, here we have on the left plot, shellfish farms and finfish farms from eModNet. And the other data set that we used was for the marine protected areas in the Mediterranean Sea.
Great, yeah, because we wanted to see if some of the particles could end up in some marine protected areas, and this could be, a higher risk of affecting the ecosystem, and cool. All right, so thanks a lot for that, Darshika. And now we're going to move on to some of the even more technical details for those that are interested in really the modeling side of things. And unfortunately, Mikael couldn't join live. He's just finished his PhD, so he's off and enjoying his freedom. So he sends through a video of some of the details, and so he was really the technical lead or the lead developer during these last 6 months. So he's going to demonstrate some of the functionalities.
Hi everyone, my name is Mikael Kaandor and I'm a PhD student at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. I joined the See Clearly project as the lead developer after the hackathon was finished. In the coming minutes or so, I will show you what kind of tool we developed. And we will start off by showing you some of the technical details, how to install the package, for example. So first, let's show you the GitHub that we made. So you can find our GitHub by going to my username, mikaelk/see_clearly. Here we find a couple folders and a README file, as you can see. Here we explain the steps that you need to take in order to run the See Clearly tool that we developed. So let's have a look at the different folders. So first of all, the most important folder is the See Clearly folder, where you can find all the scripts that we developed. And here you can also find the main Jupyter notebook that we made, which I will show you in a second. So if you want to run the See Clearly package, of course, you need some packages to run this entire program. I made a Docker folder where you can find a Docker file. And when you run this Docker file, it will install all the required packages in order to run the See Clearly tool for you. The tool consists of two parts. First of all, you need to run some Lagrangian simulations where we release virtual particles in the virtual ocean. And these virtual particles can, for example, represent plastic pollution or any other pollution that is coming from aquaculture farm, for example. So that's the first step. And afterwards, we can analyze data to see where pollution is coming from and where pollution is ending up. So for the first step, for the Lagrangian particle simulations, we need flow data that Darshika already touched upon. In this project, we used the Mediterranean Sea physics reanalysis dataset. So that one you can find on the Copernicus website if you want. And I also provide a download script in the data folder, in the See Clearly data folder. So you can go to downloadscripts.py. And here the script will automatically download a bunch of data for you in order to run the Lagrangian particle simulations. You can either run it locally, so clone the GitHub to your local computer and do all the analysis there. The second option is to do your runs on the Blue Cloud. And we also provide already some example runs on the Blue Cloud. So in that case, you wouldn't have to rerun the parser simulations. You can just use the data that's already available on there. I will show you how we can actually do this. So you can go to your homepage. Now we start by clicking on the Jupyter Hub. And here we have several server options. The Blue Cloud made the See Clearly team environment available to us. And in this environment, you can do the entire See Clearly tool analysis. So So if you want access to this tool, you actually need to contact the Blue Cloud support team. So let's start a server with the See Clearly tool in there. And now you can navigate to the See Clearly folder, and we can start to run the post-process Jupyter notebook, which is already open, as you can see here. So in this notebook, there's a couple of things that you can do. So first of all, we'll run the first 2 cells. So in the first cell, we load the necessary packages to run this tool. In the second cell, you don't really have to adjust the details here. It's about the resolution that you want to run the analysis at. And these are the files that you load in for the analysis, but you can keep them fixed for now. Then when we run the third cell, you'll see that a plot appears with a backwards in time analysis and a forwards in time analysis. In the backwards time analysis, we can click on any location on this map over here. And then we can see where pollution is actually coming from. So where it's coming from back in time. Then the second part of the tool is a forwards in time analysis. In this case, we can, for example, see what happens with pollution that's created at a certain aquaculture farm. So let's start by showing the backwards in time analysis. So in this case, we see the map of the Mediterranean Sea. We see different color dots. So in this case, the red dots are the finfish aquaculture farms, and the blue dots are other aquaculture farms. You can pick any location in the Mediterranean Sea to see where pollution at a certain location is likely originating from. In this case, let's start with some points next to the French coast, for example. You can click this part, and now the program will start calculating where the pollution has come from backwards in time. This process can take a bit of time, so be patient. So now you will see we release these spherical plastic particles or any other type of pollution in the ocean. And we can see where the pollution has originated from. So in this case, you can see a lot of pollution is likely coming from this area near Italy or near the North African coast. After this analysis is done, you can click again, and you will get a histogram. So in this histogram, you can see what are the likely locations where pollution has went through the sea. Afterwards, we can click again, and now we can see the contributions from the different countries. So in this case, we think that likely Algeria has contributed quite a bit to the plastic pollution that is found over here near the coast of France. We also give an estimated plastic concentration, as you can see in the title of the plot. So this was one backwards in time analysis. You can also have a more detailed analysis. In that case, you will have to change the background option. Instead of map, we can use mesh. You can run this cell again. Now you can see instead of these smooth coastlines, we have approximation to the Mediterranean Sea in terms of a mesh. So again, we can pick any random location. So let's pick a location near Cyprus in this case. And we'll start calculating where pollution near Cyprus is likely originating from. So again, we do this backwards in time analysis. In this case, we see that a lot of pollution that is ending up in Cyprus is likely originating from the south of the Mediterranean Sea, the coast of Egypt, for example. A lot of this is likely originating from the area near Turkey. We can visualize this again using this histogram. So you can see a lot of the particles that end up at this crossover here have originated from the Turkish coastline. And we can quantify this a bit more by clicking again. So here we have, you can visualize the coastlines. For each part of the coastline, we now have a percentage. So how much does each part of the coastline contribute to the pollution that ends up near Cyprus? So I just showed you the backwards in time analysis. You can also do this analysis forwards in time. So let's say I want to start a new aquaculture farm anywhere in the Mediterranean Sea. I might be interested in knowing where pollution from this farm is actually ending up. So in this case, we can use the forest and time analysis. So let's pick any random location in the Mediterranean Sea, for example, off the coast of Sardinia in this case. Okay, click this location, and again, the tool will calculate where virtual particles will eventually end up over time. And again, this can take a bit of time sometimes. So here we can see the virtual particles that are released off the coast of Sardinia. A lot of this pollution is likely staying within this region, off the coast of Italy. You see some of the pollution might be ending up more in the southern waters of the Mediterranean Sea. When this simulation is finished, we can click again to get this histogram. So where is pollution ending up that is released at this location over here? Now what we can do is click again. Now we can see the overlapping marine protected areas. So these are the marine protected areas that might be influenced by this certain aquaculture site over here. So you can see some marine protected areas off the coast of Corsica, so in between Corsica and Italy. You can see some of the coast of France and Spain. And these might be areas that could be influenced by pollution that's ending up in the water at this crossover here. So as you can see, we've developed quite a versatile and quick tool to analyze where pollution is coming from and where it might be ending up over time for any location in the Mediterranean Sea. So if you're interested in working with this tool, please get in touch with the Sea Clearly team. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really nice overview from Mikkel, and he did a great job to really develop our idea further and use the Mediterranean as our kind of pilot project. And this could obviously be expanded for the globe and for any location because we really have these global current data sets. And as long as we have the locations of aquaculture farms or marine protected areas, this can be repeated. So yeah, really, it was a really fun, project to see being developed and have a lot of people be involved. And so, yeah, I think a little bit more of the detail of parts of this probability analysis. So, we've seen in a lot of Mikkel's figures here that we have these probabilities of plastic ending up somewhere or coming from somewhere. So Claudio, this is related to the research that you do in your PhD. So if you can give a little bit of an overview on this probability analysis and Bayesian analysis technique, that would be great.
Hi everyone.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So as you said, Delphine, I'm using this as in my research. So basically, this probabilistic approach is called like a Bayesian approach or Bayesian analysis, in which you kind of quantify your degree of the belief about something being true with a probability, right? So basically, in this case, and also in my research, this is useful to estimate the sources of plastic reaching, in this particular case, an aquaculture farm, right? But also we use this framework to also quantify the amount of plastic reaching these farms. So in particular, the main idea of this is that you use Bayes' theorem, which is the formula that you can see on the right. And yeah, I can walk you a little bit through like what is it composed and how do we use it in our analysis. So first we have, like, for instance, the first term there, which is the likelihood, right? So in this case, the likelihood is built from all the simulations, the computer simulations for virtual particles. In this case, it's only with the backwards in time simulations. So we track down particles, as already Mikkel showed, like in the previous video, from the aquaculture farms towards any potential source for the plastic, right? So this gives us like a probability of finding of any of these particles being located in any part of the domain. Then the other part of the formula is the prior. So this is the thing that really makes it really powerful, this tool, right? Because the prior is built from independent data. In this case, we use data from mismanaged plastic waste coming from the coast. For instance, we use plastic waste emitted by rivers from the Mayer et al. Data set. And also we combine it with the data coming of plastic coming from the coast, right? From the Jambek to 2015. So the idea is that by combining these two, we can quantify the amount of plastic reaching the aquaculture farm, but also we can establish the possible sources. So you can see here on the bottom of the slide. So for instance, on the bottom left, you have like the locations, the likelihood, right? The likelihood of all the particles reaching the aquaculture farm. And on the right, you have the potential or the probability of any of these particles coming from any of these sources in the coast, right? So yeah, this is what we call the posterior. And actually it's really powerful because these two things, the likelihood and the prior, being independent, allows you to update it. So for instance, when you have like better data for plastic waste emitted by the coast, you can just reuse your simulations as they are. You don't need to redo them again. You just need to update your priors and you will have like a better estimate of these sources and all these, the amount of plastic reaching this coastline. So yeah, this is the main idea behind our analysis, and yeah.
Great, yeah, thanks. And I think there's just this, the denominator, which is the normalizing constants.
It's just a normalizing constant, which I forgot.
No worries. Yeah, great. Thanks a lot, Claudio. And what we have for everyone, which is the last slide, is a demonstration of our web-based tool. So the actual See Clearly tool that can be accessed by anyone. So, you know, if you don't want to go into all of the coding details that Mikael just went through and running your own simulations, it's really kind of looking at the output, and so this is what Olmo has developed for us during these last 6 months and for the actual hackathon through Particle Viz. And so let's hear from him now.
Hello everybody, my name is Olmo Zavala. I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Scientific Computing in Florida State University, and this recording is happening on the Sunshine State of the United States, Florida. I joined the team of See Clearly for the Blue Cloud Hackathon, mainly to contribute with some of my expertise on scientific visualization, and at the end it consolidated in the tool that I'm going to show you right now. His website is available already at seeclearly.io, so feel free to open that URL with your cell phones or your tablets or your computer so that you can play with the interface at the same time that I show you some of the examples. The idea or the objective of this interface, well, is to create a user-friendly tool for decision makers and the general public that can illustrate some of the impact that marine plastic can have on these aquaculture farms. It's coming to the aquaculture farms or also originating from the aquaculture farms. When we open the interface, you will see this small summary of our project, and you also have the description of the different controls that are available for the user. In this case, we selected 6 specific locations distributed or spread across the Mediterranean. And with the interface, we can see the movement and the path of marine plastic that will start on those locations, similarly to what Mikael just showed to you. The nice thing about this interface is that it is a dynamic interface where you can zoom in, zoom out, you can control the animation, you can go step by step, you can go to a specific moment in time. And if you are interested, you also can modify how the information is being displayed. As lines, for example, you can reduce the size of the particles or the marine pollution that is being represented. And you can also display or increase the trail that is being left by that marine pollution. And that may provide a better idea of the area that has been affected by marine pollution from these locations. What we can also do is we've had information of marine pollution that is starting from the aquaculture farms, but we have also modeled the locations where the marine pollution can travel towards those aquaculture farms. And we also have individual drones of that aquaculture farm. So you can access all that with this menu here. Finally, you can also select a different background map if you are interested in visualizing maybe the cities, main cities that are close to the affected aquaculture farms. And well, this software was developed by an open source project that we are working on. It's called Particle Beats. You can access it with this eye icon. And this software may be useful for other scientists to generate similar websites to distribute your knowledge or your insights with the general public. Also, you can access the repository that Michael was talking before with the home icon. And finally, for those that are already testing this website with your phones, you realize that there is a specific interface that is mobile friendly, is efficient, and is being specifically designed for mobile devices. And that's mainly it. I hope you find this website useful. We are aiming to incorporate more locations in the near future. So also access it constantly so that you can see how we are updating the information on the site. And that's it. I hope you find it useful, and please tell us any question that you have regarding the interface or the project itself.
Okay, well, cool. Hopefully that's given you a really great overview of, the tool, the end product of our idea. And it was really cool to have Olmo on board, because then he could, really include this web-based visualization that's very user-friendly and that can really be used for all types of stakeholders. So I think it's time to wrap up. And Cleo, I don't know if you want to say a couple of words, and if we can, basically keep it to a minute or two so that we can go on to the questions that are in Slido. And anyone that has questions, remember, you just go to sli.do in your web browser, and the hashtag is OPW, and there you can ask all your questions for the team. So yeah,
thanks, Afin. Yeah, I know. I guess everybody that's watching is very busy clicking and gazing at all the pollution on either their phones or on their web browsers. But for everybody that is actually live, please take this opportunity to ask questions on the link that Afin just shared with the hashtag OPW. Thanks to the team for all of the contributions today. And thanks to all of you out there for engaging with our tool. Whether you're joining live or whether you're viewing this later on YouTube. And if you are viewing it back, you can always contact us via the email that is on this slide. And you can also contact the Blue Cloud if you want to actually access the Blue Cloud tool, or if you want to do your own stuff on the Blue Cloud, or just scroll around in the data and you get stuck. They have a really good support team. And we'd like to thank Erik van Sibylle, who is some of our supervisors. He's a professor in Utrecht University. He's been really supportive for us developing this tool. And yeah, if you got really into this, you can obviously pull the tool yourself, and you can contact us if you run into trouble. So yeah, maybe there's already any questions on the Slido, Delphine. I don't know if you're looking at it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop sharing so that everyone can see all of our faces. And also thanks to the Blue Cloud for this opportunity, right? So the actual hackathon that they organized, and then the prize that we won allowed us to really have time to set aside and to develop this idea. So yeah, I think we all had a lot of fun, and yeah, I can definitely recommend people to join hackathons to, you know, really kind of dig into some of the creative sides of your research and applicability of your research. Okay, let me check on Slido. And yeah, everyone is back on, so that's great. All right, we have quite a few questions. So the first one is from an anonymous person. But what type and size of plastic debris can be accounted for in your project? I don't know if someone wants to jump on that question.
I'm happy to say something short about it. Yeah, so well, the short answer is probably any, because it depends a bit. So if you look on the website, you will see runs that have been already run. So if you use the online tool, those were like pre-run, but if you actually download and engage with our tool via any of the routes that Mikael showed you, you could run your own parcels runs. You can, in principle, you can do whatever you want to do. And I would say, like, for now, most of the pollution that comes from towards these aquaculture farms, and most of the pollution that we're currently looking at, especially if it's small plastic particles, they're quite small. But there's not really any reason why, if you run your models correctly, you could not include larger plastics, or even a whole aquaculture farm on drift if you want to. It just depends on the physics you put into it. So yeah, it's quite flexible. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for now we mostly look at kind of microplastic, microplastic, whatever you want to call that, but it's basically smaller than 5 millimeters in general. But yeah, it's true that any size can be modeled if we have the right physics behind the equations, and yeah. Cool. And also, I guess we should mention that we were also looking at just floating plastic. So for now, it was just this 2D transport of plastic in the Mediterranean on the surface. So yeah, if by thinking about type of plastic, it's certain the density has to be lower than the seawater. All right, question number 2. What factors of plastic particles are included in your framework? So I'm not sure what factors, what that means. So if that person can maybe clarify on Slido, so just to add, what you mean by factors, or if anyone else kind of understands the question, you can tackle.
I was wondering, it's kind of aimed at the same, like size or shape or something like that. That would how I interpret it. I don't know, but I guess if the person's still live, if it's on size and shape, I think the previous answer kind of covered it. But we are looking at virtual particles, so they represent at the moment a small particle, which, yeah, if it's very small, it doesn't matter so much. But if it's larger, the kind of shape starts to really play a role. So this is certainly something that the tool can be developed towards. I guess that would be the fact. That's how I interpret it. But yeah, feel free to clarify.
Yeah, we'll see if a clarification question comes through. All right. So the next question is about the interviews in France. So Laura, maybe you can tackle this question. So the question is, how was your interview in France? Do you think plastic debris are impacting their farms?
Yeah, from what they let us know, it's a bit hard to know in one sense, because as they say, there's no legislation right now, so they're not forced to look into it. So they haven't analyzed it that much. And then some interesting information we got about that was that it depends also on the species. For example, they said sea bream could nibble on the cages and then break up the cages and create some plastics. So yeah, I think there's something there going on for further study, but yes, it has not been something that they have been pushed to look into. We still don't have information, so yeah, there's quite a bit of things to look there for now for us. So for us, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's true that they were mentioning that there are some if the cages are made of plastic and the sea bream really likes to eat the parts of the cage, and so that's not even kind of what's being transported in the water, it's just like what's the actual cage itself that's made of plastic. So it seems like this is a very kind of new topic for aquaculture farmers, or at least to look at it from this modeling point of view. So yeah, it seems like
can I add something to that maybe?
Of course,
because I thought like from the interviews we really got that. So what aquaculture farmers mainly do, which is really rightly so, they just follow the existing legislation to ensure that their fish is safe. So this really stresses the importance of, like a lot of scientists obviously always say, but which really stresses the importance of up-to-date legislation, because I think everybody knows that the plastic pollution, it's all over the news, like pollution in aquaculture products, perhaps with plastic, but nobody really knows. So I think this really stresses. And I think also our interviews showed that everybody is aware that legislation is coming. So although it's not there yet, I feel like this really sparks interest in the type of work that we are doing. Because as soon as the legislation is there, you actually need a way of proving that your fish is safe. So yeah, I think that was very sensible, like in the interviews we did, that it's not something that people know nothing about. It's just not yet legislated, and everybody knows it's there.
Yeah, and especially because we were talking about are there rules about how far away from marine protected areas your aquaculture farms have to be, and all of these things, and there's really not that level of detail yet. So even those kinds of details can, the fact that we're kind of exploring this might give some insights into how much detail is required for and
that also holds for other pollution types, right? It's not only plastic, where you see how widespread, if you saw in the videos from both Ulmo and Mikko, and if you use our tool, you'll see it, that really depending on the location you click on, the pollution gets widespread so far that really very like interregional approaches are needed, which currently is not yet so common to apply. So this is also something our tool gives a lot of insight in. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks guys for that. Okay. I think this is another question that's a little bit that we might not know about, because we would have to really collect data from the aquaculture farms. But it says, what kind of plastics are released by aquaculture farm, and what is the release rate? So yeah, I mean, right now we've kind of just said like it's just microplastic, floating microplastic that is kind of through wear and tear of the cages themselves. And yeah, we don't know what the release rate is. We were just releasing 1 per day in our simulations. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. If I can add to that briefly, Delphine,
go ahead.
I think that they also mentioned aquaculture farmers that they feed sometimes the fish with plastic bags of food, but as that is a macroplastic, it's also something they can clean up quite fast. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next one is from Audrey Hasson, who is one of the other OPW moderators. So she asks, did you try different timeframes for your simulation? It would be interesting to see how seasons and interannual variations impact the results. I mean, I don't know if Darshika or Claudio, you want to answer this, or I guess any of us could at this stage, but.
Yeah, sure. So the different timeframes. So if I recall, like the simulations that we did, like we release particles each month. So, and we track the particles for an entire month, right? That's right. And so it's I think the year in which we chose for this is 2014. So yeah, so I mean, there's of course seasonality there because we're using like these output, I mean, the advection fields from Copernicus, right? So I mean, these fields have been like data, I mean, assimilated with observations and everything. So it should like take into account the seasonality. But we only did this for 1 year for now, I think, releasing particles each month. So yeah, I mean, probably we could just extend this for more years and to really have like this, I mean, to see like truly like this seasonality, right? I don't know if this is the question or
yeah, I think that answers it. I mean, really, this was just kind of like a first proof of concept, just to show, you know, the functionalities, and then really going into some of the deeper analysis, like seasonality. I think it would take more simulations to run, and then we could really compare different years and everything. So yeah, with the simulations that are available right now, you can already see in time the different currents and, you know, the different transport of how it affects the transport of plastic. But yeah, I think a deeper analysis would be needed.
If you look at our web tool, you can actually see the date and time of the simulated point. So you can actually see. Obviously, you can figure it out if you look in the details in the documents which exact simulations we use. But on the web tool, it will just show in a runner. It won't show the resolution, but it will show which season it is. So I can't recall what date it starts on, but it will just be on the top of your screen, like it runs on the day, so you can see that it's winter or summer whilst the simulation is running. So you get an idea. If you're used to looking at Mediterranean flow data, you'll see. You'll see the dates and times of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have 2 more minutes and 1 more question, so that's perfect. Let's try to wrap it up with this last one. So it's okay. So this is related to the different factors of the plastic particles, but one of the suggestions from Audrey is that it's actually looking into what factors, kind of what processes we've included for the plastic transport. So, for example, biofouling, sinking, beaching, all of this. So I think this is, you know, it's important to mention again that we're just looking at the floating particles. So we're not looking at biofouling, for example, or other impacts by, you know, other factors that can impact the vertical transport. So the sinking of particles. So that would be, you know, adding 1 more kernel to our code that could be done if, you know, if a stakeholder or a client, an end user would need that information. And yeah, I don't know, or there's also the kind of breakdown could be one of the other processes. So yeah, it's probably worth mentioning that, you know, in our team, you know, different people, different researchers have looked at different processes. And actually Mikael has just submitted a paper so that it's combining all of these different processes on a global scale. So that should be out soon in the next few months. And that could, you know, all of those different processes could be included into our model. But yeah, again, we were kind of working on just this kind of proof of concept and just showing what could be done. And yeah, if someone wants to develop this further, they can. But yeah, and I guess, you know, this is also, yeah, Darshika, I don't know if you want to mention anything else about, yeah, I guess future developments or where, you know, we could use some of your work, like the connectivity stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's just in case you wanted to mention something. I know there wasn't a specific question that was linked to the data work. So if you want to mention anything else, feel free.
No, indeed, like what I'm doing is looking at connectivity between 2 locations in the ocean. Yeah. So indeed that can be used, but yeah, it's a bit different because I look at plankton, which are living organisms, and it has to be adapted to look at a passive or an inert particle like a plastic.
Yeah.
So, and definitely like it gives us, what it can give us is how much time it can take to connect 2 positions. What are the pathways? Those kind of approaches can also be incorporated in the next steps of this of the study.
For sure, because I mean, yeah, we're looking at the marine protected areas, the aquaculture cages. These are kind of like different areas, right? And looking at the connectivity between them, like this, yeah, could definitely be part of future work. So yeah. Yeah, well, cool. I think we've gone through all the questions on Slido. And yeah, I just want to kind of wrap up and say that this was a really fun project to do. And it's been a nice kind of different side of research and seeing how we can, you know, also include stakeholders and other people that are interested in applying our knowledge to something that can really tackle like the sustainability development goal and all of this. So yeah, definitely from my side, it was super fun. And thanks so much to all of you and the other team members who couldn't join live, but yeah, see clearly was great. So yeah, this is our kind of our wrap up of these 6 months. So this is our final outreach event. Yeah, and so thanks to the Blue Cloud also for all of these opportunities. All right, I think that's about it. So thanks everyone, and thanks to everyone who joined live and who's watching afterwards too. All right, ciao ciao.